dialed in with us this morning. We thank you and we welcome you to the Mastermind call with the Dreammakers Network. We thank you for the folks who will connect with us this afternoon or later or whenever they get a chance to link in and participate and see this live recording. Very excited again to have an opportunity to connect and share. All of you who are on the line, who've been with us and connecting with us for so many years, we thank you. We truly appreciate you and your support. And for those of you who are connecting with us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Byron Deese, and we've been hosting this call for over 11 years, uh, focusing particularly on personal development. How can we continue to run this race in this life and try to add as much value as we can? How can we be supportive to the things that matter to us, the goals that we have, but at the same time, allow whatever shine that's coming, whatever shine that we've created in pursuit of personal development in our own life, how can it be of benefit to other people? And why does that even matter? Why should we even care that someone else's journey has been interrupted to focus on personal development? How do you grow from where you are? And whether, regardless of what those goals are, regardless of what the circumstances are where you are at the moment, how do you grow from that point? How do you go from where you are today? Could be a great situation, could be an ideal situation of where you are. And you could say, you know, any other time, this would be the grand of all grands, right? This could be the greatest situation. But how do you grow from there? There's still breath in your body and you're still able to breathe and communicate, which means that there's still work, still more time that you have to add value to your life and to the life of others. How do you do it? How do you go from where you are to where you want to go? And for the folks who may have found themselves in just a complete rocky road, if you will, just finding yourself in a situation where you're completely unhappy with the current reality. What is going on and how did I get here situation? Knowing that, just even the fact of knowing that the personal development process shows that there's light at the end of that dark tunnel too. And I think that that's at the end of the day, when I think back to when we started this network, um, this particular call, over 11 years ago, I think at the end of the day, that's really what it was all about. Personal development in the way of knowing that your current reality is not the end. It's not the end. And I've even gotten to a point over the past several years to even dare talk about uh, legacy, if you will. You know, uh, infinite type of approach where you could start something now and it just continues on, whether you're here to be involved in it or not. And we all know that is possible too. We know those types of that type of work, that type of activity, that type of willingness and dedication, and those types of creations happen. Um, there are a host of us who are part of things that was started by someone who's no longer here. It's no longer here to guide you and participate in that with you, but they started something and have could very well have grown far beyond the dreams and ideals of that founder. I think that that is a goal worth pursuing. And when you associate with people like that who were bold enough, who were willing to create something that was bigger than themselves, and let that become an added value for the generations, now you almost get to a point where you feel like you're not running out of time. You're not running out of time because you're building something that will go on beyond your lifetime. And I wanted to paint that picture when we talk about personal development, because a lot of times when we think about personal development, if it's just about us and what we got going on, if it's just about, oh man, did I pay my bills? Or, you know, how are things going in my marriage or relationship, and how are things going with my friends and my co-workers and that network. If it's just about that, then yeah, I can see how, um, you know, the time factor, the some of that worry and doubt and things like that will creep into your mind, and you begin to get a little bit concerned and worried about things. But when you expand it past you and your current folks who you know and understand, and it becomes about something bigger, um, your ability to not only add value to your personal life, but allow your life to add value to somebody else's. And hopefully it becomes contagious. And it could be a host of things. I would just this morning, when I was, just talking about uh football game that we had last night at Seminole High School, won the district championship, and it was exciting, and I lost my voice and the whole nine. But this morning, I was sitting there just looking at some of the news, still reeling from the win last night. And the team that we played, Lake Mary, still just blown away by the quarterback that they have. This guy's a sophomore, and just, I mean, lights out. This guy's definitely playing D1 football at some point in time. And we'll see him on Saturdays. But I saw on, I guess it was on social media somewhere, one of the football players from, actually, the quarterback after the game posted on social media somewhere and said, great game to Seminoles. This is why I play football, this is why I play football, to be in games like this or something like that. And then one of the Seminole guys posted in response, was like, thank you for that, great guy. And just watching, and then he responded to him and said, hey man, I love you for what you do, and we are blessed to play this game. And then I saw other people making comments on just that one act of positive energy. And it was just this long line of, people who watched the game, scouts, educators, just popping in on that. And I was like, wow, just that quick. One act of positive, intentional activity. Something that started as a thought. He's like, you know what, I probably should say something. This is a great game. I'm feeling, even though we didn't win, but it was a great game. I want to be a part of these types of experiences. Let me say something and put in the atmosphere. It was a thought. And then that thought went to an actual post. And then that post inspired somebody else to say something from the other team. And then it just went viral, to see all of the comments and people who were saying, you're a stand-up guy, and wow, this, and it's just that simple. How to take a thought and how to make sure that, because it could have, think about the other folks who probably saw that differently, went through, put all their heart out on that, in that game, left that game completely frustrated, upset, and the last thing they're thinking about doing is posting some type of congratulatory post for the other team. And maybe they put a post out there, right? It was like, to heck with Seminole, whatever, y'all, this, that, and the other, y'all some losers anyway. And if it wasn't for that one play, we would have done this and done, it could have easily gone that direction. And that could have created, a fight next week or something or tomorrow. Who knows? But I bring that up just to highlight the fact that when we're talking about personal development, it definitely starts in your mind and how you manage this thing that we have. What do we do with it? Are we being, because it's one thing to keep your mind fresh and keep your mind focused and keep your mind surrounded and protected by positive energy and a good spirit. It's one thing to do that. Is another just knowing that you're going to be bombarded with nonstop negative things to make your mind that will try to counter all the work that you're doing to strengthen your thoughts, to think in a way that will keep your spirit high. Being careful about the people you spend your time with and how they communicate, and I remember as a kid, my mom would say, talk to people the way you want to be spoken to, and so if I want someone to speak life into my life, I need to speak life into theirs, so because if I'm talking negative, even in the spirit of fun and joking, it could still move into a direction of, why am I frustrated right now? Right? Why am I upset? So I just wanted to really, take a second and talk a little bit about personal development and why it's important. Why is it even worth spending time to go through it? I mean, I can tell you something else, and then we'll dive into this topic for the day. But in this month of October, I had COVID, and it was my first time ever getting it, and it rocked, and I'm boosted and vaxxed and all of that good stuff, but I got the 1-2 punch. It was like, and there were points in time where my mind was telling me, because I'm used to saying, okay, all right, let's do what you got to do to get better. As soon as you start feeling better, bro, it's time to get back. It's time to get back on message. Time to get back on what we're working on, pushing these goals. Let's get back to it. And I did that, right? So I felt a little better about maybe about a week or so in, and so I started to get back to my 100% routine and all of that. And next thing you know, I got the 1-2, boom, boom. I was like, oh, what is this? What some folks call the fog. Oh man, I got the 1-2. It hit me so quick, and I had to really adjust my thinking, because I'm so used to saying, let's go, let's get this going, let's focus back on the goals, let's get moving. But I had to, and when we talk about, when we pray for wisdom and discernment, that has to be a part of the personal development process as well. And I had to quickly say, you know what? There is a thing called making sure you're really well. And whatever it takes to do that, and come out of this thing 100%, instead of trying to come out the gates and you're really not there yet. And you're back engaging with your people, you're back engaged with your clients, and they think you're ready to go. And then you realize, you know what? I know I had some, I said I was going to work on this and that. I'm not ready yet. And so that was just kind of another example of the value of personal development in any any part and any experience that's going on, because you're going to need it, when you're pushing. You're going to need it when you're sick. You're going to need it when you're sad. You're going to need it when you're mad. I was talking to my wife earlier this week about a situation where I had, this is probably another good one to dive into, but I kind of allowed, this is a work related matter, and I kind of kept my thoughts and my frustrations to myself about a certain situation going on. and I probably kept it a little too long. And so then we had this meeting, and it was time to talk about it. And unbeknownst to me, all of that keeping and bottling stuff up and keeping it to yourself, it roared in the meeting. And I was like, oh my God. And I felt myself that frustrated, mad, want to say everything possible, just come out of nowhere. Yeah, I didn't go into that meeting with an intention of going off. They about to hear me today. That was not that was not my goal. That was not my intention. But it was just a word or two that set it off. I was like, oh my God, I was there. I was at that place. And and I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that my emotions went there. It wasn't part of the plan. so so I had to let that happen, right? So it came out. And when it came out, I was like, well, listen, let me just be clear. Since it's out here now, here's why I was frustrated. Here's why we're going in a different direction. You know, it- Nothing against you or whatever the case may be, but and tried to fix it up. But the fact is, the times when we are completely frustrated and pissed off, when we're going to need personal development to open our eyes, to get involved quickly before it becomes something that nobody wants, right? So, uh, so yeah, I'll say, man, this month of October, and if I want, I guess since we're talking, let me just be very, very honest. This month of October has been so wow, so a lot happening that I completely forgot we had this call today. I was like, whoa, wait a second. I was like, wait a second. This is the last Saturday in the month. And so, but it didn't take much, to be honest, to um, identify something that we could really focus on as a topic, because the month was packed with lessons and issues and stories. Um, so yeah, that's just, I guess that's probably me, one, welcoming everybody to the call, but two, kind of peppering in this month of experiences. And I am thankful to say that we've made it and we can dive in and have this conversation. I always look forward to connecting. I tell you, because as soon as I realized today was the call, I was like, well, it's perfect timing, because I definitely need it. This is in many ways therapy session, and time to kind of rebuild. And then also you walk away with things to work on and supporting folks. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining in, waking up with us. I know it's dark now. We wake up around this time and it's dark. So I completely understand. Um, we appreciate all of you who connected with us this morning. Well, I would say, since I've kind of started, and opened up my time and activity of this month. I want to take a second, open up the call to any one of you who would like to just kind of open up and talk about your month. The good, the bad. Like I tell my daughter in the morning, or when she comes home from school, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, what's been going on. If it's something that you've made some progresses, you're working on something, it seems like you're headed in a direction, good, bad, ugly, whatever the case may be. We'd love to hear it. Definitely want to connect with you on that. If you've had some issues this month and it's been challenging, but the spirit of personal development is still kicking, so you're looking for ways to overcome. Let's talk about that. Let's dive in. We have enough folks on this call here today who've gone through similar situations and can be of value. And if there's something else that you think we should know about, definitely let's take that time as well. Open up the call. We'll open the call. Anybody who have any questions, comments, want to share about your month, we'll take a second and open up the call now. Morning.
October's my birthday, so I'm always super reflective. One of my really good friends told me years ago how he's like, you just get mean as hell in October. You know, but I kind of wasn't my feelings about that, but I was like, well, hell, he's right. But it's not so much me, it's that I just get really quiet. And there's a lot of self-reflection because this is my reset month. This is like me evaluating where I am. I typically look through journals. I may do a vision board, like a very focused vision board. Whereas in January, my vision board is typically like big picture. But my October one is really like very specific goals and just getting my mind and my eyes and my vision just really cleared up. And so for me, personal development has just really given me some language that by myself, left alone, I may or may not know they've come up with that information. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like, oh, I'm in Baltimore and there's some new things happening over here. But it's just really like the language and really taking the language and what you're reading and really personalizing it. And that's what I've been doing this month. And so one of the things is I'm figuring out my company and what it really means and what it does and kind of what I wrote out and what I'm doing work-wise. They're so different, but there's ways they're similar. And so how it kind of came out, my mom, when someone asked me what I did, and I was like, oh, I'm a consultant. And I kind of like talked in a circle. And my mom was like, don't nobody know what the hell you did. So she said, I want you to really think about like tying all of it together. I know it makes sense to you, but you have to let other people know that if they could help, could connect you, then they know where to start with you. And I thought with it. I was like, you're right. And I've been working on it, but it wasn't that like clear, right? And so the next day I had a board meeting, which was Thursday. Thursday I had a board meeting. And I'm just as your cousin was crazy. So I went to with your cousin this board meeting. And Jewish property managers from co-op. And I've been very clear about making sure our neighbors with respect and dignity and da-da-da-da. And I'm doing work with the Department of Human Services too. So it really came down to that. And I just kept standing in that. I was like, no, we need to make sure that we're fair. We need to make sure that we're not talking down. And I just was really clear about my expectations. The head of the property manager, he sent me an email. He was like, what do you do for a living? Mm-hmm. I just love the way you showed up and the way that you spoke and how you were you were this and you were that. And he just like gave me like, and he was my goal. And it goes back to really what is my company, because my company is me. Mm-hmm. And so it was really easy for me to just, in my response to him, I did what my mom was essentially asking me to do, to define out, what do you do? What's your thing? So it was just like, it forced me to kind of like, everything I've been working on personal development allowed me to really create the language, the words, the things that I needed to really be able to represent myself fully and clearly. Mm. And so that's the thing about personal development. It helps you, it makes you think, and it pulls things out of you that other people might see, but sometimes we're the last person to really see who we are and how we reflect. So it's that mirror. I just really think it's like this growth thing, and it allows you to become the thing. Yeah. And then sometimes people around you are able to share back out what you've been putting in. So that's the important part for me for personal development. It just really brings out who you are, and it really allows you to become it. And sometimes for me, I didn't even realize the things that I've been really working on all these years. It was me, but being able to articulate that it's been really important as an entrepreneur and someone who's building this company based upon me. And it's really share. Thank you.
I love that. I mean, you highlighted a couple of things that I kind of also, I would say, still go through, especially as entrepreneurs. And when people know you, so let's just say folks know you from the community, and they may not have never done business with you, but they know you, they kind of know of you, if you will. Maybe they've known you in the past when you were doing something else, and they still associate you with that thing. And as an entrepreneur, you're you find yourself maybe possibly doing, especially if you are doing a little bit of everything, some consulting work, some specific work, and you're trying to figure out how to communicate that to the marketplace. Is one thing to, have your target folks who you potentially want to do business with. But then it's also the fact that there are people who you ultimately want to serve as advocates for you as well, kind of your external sales team, so they can go out and tell other folks, so they may know somebody who's in your target. And it is worth taking time to, instead of having a kind of this elevator speech of what you do, to be able to find a phrase or term that can start the conversation. You know, back when I was working, particularly only on 401ks and retirement plans, you could just say that, and then that you could kind of morph into, oh, great, I have a retirement plan, or I contribute to this, and that would kind of be the thing. There's the conversation. But once it morphed into everything, right? I just said, you know what? I'm in wealth management. Oh, what's that about? And then you can kind of get into specifics, or if you have an elevator speech or something like that. But it's definitely one of those situations where, as you're growing and developing and you're adding things to what you do, that could become a long conversation. So, and you were just trying to tell folks what you do, so I get it. It is part of that entrepreneurship journey, because we're always trying to mold and try to create the best entity, the best business that we can. And there may be some things that you were doing before that you're done with doing, and that's not a part of, and you're happily was ready to get that off your plate. So I feel you, and your mom gave you some spot on advice. I mean, because that is, to be able to know that, especially when you're doing work that's not conventional, if you will, and it could require different types of, well, if do you know about this, and oh, okay, I'm tired. I'm tired already, because it sounds like you're about to go down the road that so it's so good to be able to get that 1, 2, 3 quick explanation of what you do, and get used to it and practice it, because you want to be able to always be a living example of what you represent. So, and I know you do, but it's more than talk. I know exactly where you are. All right. Let's do it. Let's open up the call. Anybody want to jump in, share about that? There he is, my man, brother Mitchell. You at the gym? You at the gym, brother? You at the gym? You at the gym?
So, thanks everyone for joining the a little late, believe it or not.
Okay.
About 30. That's great. So, my little share that I'm going to share with everyone this week or this month is, I think you guys know over the last couple months, whole fitness journey for me. But finally took the step. I got myself a coach. I know, the last 2 months, talking about getting that coach and getting someone that's an expert in your field, and just not real oriented and just have a program for you. So I started my first week finishing with my coach, night and day. I feel the difference in my body, my feet. And also December 2nd, we're launching my Soul Fitness. December 2nd, we're releasing the muscle and joint CBD plant-based organic muscle release gel. to you now so you can share with the community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get the program. But check out for us in our community. If you start a new business, if you're entrepreneurs, hey, it's never too late to get a coach, someone who is the expert, to put a program together for us so we can get it in the right direction. Here's I'm 52 years old. I played ball, high school, college. I worked out, I had coaches. During my whole athletic career, but they were teaching me for the sport, for the individual thing.
That's right.
So, I think that now, I have a whole new outlook while I don't have this full body, exercise. I have goals. And my goal is, and this is funny, my daughter doesn't do this. My goal is to be as strong, to be stronger than the gym that she's going to be. Because when he comes to pick make sure that when you get my daughter out, hey, you can protect her, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So before I do that, I didn't get myself right. So now I'm working on my physical part, because I'm gonna set the bar and take the high. Somebody comes to my door, take my daughter out, because he's gonna look at me, I'm gonna look at him, I'm gonna break his hand when I see him. I'm like, look, you got a high bar, young man. You got a high bar. So the two reasons, kind of all over the stresses and everything else. The main thing is, hey, my takeaway is it took me a while to get a coach. So whatever industry that you're in, find that coach, find that mentor, find that person that get us to that next level, because we don't know what we don't know. We got to figure out that coach can get us to that direction, and just doing what we don't know. Business can be better, meaning can be better, and all of the general can be better.
Mm.
So that's what I got today. So I'm going to be done with my program here. I'm going to teach you guys, because I got guys in the gym that do my personal record and breaking records.
Wow.
So, what we do today is these great records. So meet is December 2nd at Howardville Gym. I got guys that are 48. He's competing in 45 and older. Well, the 45 to 50 range. And his weight class is, I think, 198. And he's going to break the deadlift bracket. He's going to be 550. Bench is going to be 340.
Nice.
Squat's going to be. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I got these records. And just one lady that we work out with, she's a world record holder for bench for her weight class. World record holder bench. I think she did like 240. I think she did. And she weighs like a buck 20 or something like that.
Wow. How old is she?
Yeah. We smash. That's what we do. We set new records and smash it. That's what we do. And we do it with the help of a coach. So again, my takeaway is, hey, whatever we do, let's get someone, help us up, spirituality, fitness, our wellness, everything to get us to that next level, because comedians, sorry, I'm rambling here. There's comedians, hey, I was a comedian. Someone said that, hey, look, you know what? I'm not going to mess with a guy, who started off selling weed and here it is 10 years later. Well, I know.
Okay. It sounds like a Cat Williams phrase. Yeah. Yeah. Still need a coach. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. No.
Yeah. So keep it going. So again, it's December 2nd. gopsol.com, GOPSOL.com. That's gonna be the website we're launching. I'll send the link out so we can get it in.
Nice. We're looking forward to that, man. I know you've been working hard, pulling it together, man. It's a blessing, and yeah, shoot, I can tell you that's going to be great, especially in your line where folks they leave the gym and they definitely have joints issues, and like, man, especially at the age group too. You know, and we're fresh in the mind, but the body says something different. So the body says something different quick. So I get it, brother.
I'm getting there. Like, you know, my bench is up to 315 now, which is at the top of my pyramid. So my max is gonna be something when I get there. But I'm not worried about that yet. I'm just worried about, you know, getting rid of, you know, all the bad stuff in my body. Like, I've been eating organic lately. You know, fresh food. Like I don't shop for the whole week anymore. I shop for 2 days at a time. After the second day, that food should be bad, right? If something can last in your refrigerator or on the shelf more than 2-3 days, it's processed. It's bioengineered, genetically modified, and that's not good for us. That is not good for us. So if we go out shopping, buy food that's only has a shelf life like 2-3 days, that's it. If 2-3 days is not good for us. It's not healthy for us. Every other day, I'm going to the store. I'm getting my greens, my veggies. I'm getting my organic meat, my cage-free, you know, no steroids chicken, my fresh fish. Make sure it's wild caught. You know, if you guys get fish, you know, a lot of fish is out there. It's farm raised. Farm raised is the worst fish you can get. So it's wild caught. Go out and catch your own fish.
Go out there and or go out there and just go catch it yourself and call it a day, right? Wow. Somebody went fishing.
Make sure the meat it's gonna cost a little bit. It's gonna cost extra $1 per pound, but that's okay because your body's worth that extra $1 too. You know what I'm saying? Your body's worth it. Your mind's worth it. Your spirituality's worth it. You are worth it. We are worth it. So,
yeah, I'm loving this health and wellness message you're sharing on us this morning. This is perfect, brother. I said, I'm loving this health and wellness message you're laying on us this morning. This is perfect.
You know what I mean? You need to be that hunter. You know what I'm saying? You also need to do it. Make sure that you're walking on the inside of the street. Make sure that you're sitting at a restaurant, you're facing the door so you see who's coming and going. I'm doing that to my son now. I'm not my daughter was saying nothing. Hey, God let me go. He doesn't push you or guide you to the inside when you're walking down the street. If he doesn't put in a chair for you and let you sit down, but make sure he's looking at the door and he's looking at the exit so he knows how to escape and trouble.
That's real.
Yeah, she's with a guy, he can't do it. Okay, I'll get it out. He's learned how to drive a stick. He's learned how to ride a motorcycle. If she's somewhere and someone gets hurt, and the only option she can get out of it is a manual car or a motorcycle, she's like,
survival. I love it. I love it. You know, I got to tell you this, though. You just made me think of something. So when I was growing up, my grandmother literally, like, she would stand if she was getting to walk into a building or even get in the car for that matter. She would just stand there, like somebody about to open the door, right? Like, I mean, you opening this door. So that was happening. So I never forget this. I remember my first week at Tuskegee, a student, and so, you know, there's a door. There's some girls walking into the cab. I open the door, and this girl, I mean, I know her now. We talk, you know, we became friends over the years, but she went off on me. And she was like, don't need no man to open my door. And whoop, whoop, whoop. I was like, yo, hey, I'm from the South, yo, this is what we do. She laid into me. And I remember maybe a couple of years ago, I saw her at homecoming. She was like, I was so dumb. I didn't know anything. She's from the Bronx. She's from the Bronx. And was like, yo, listen, I didn't have guys doing that for me, whatever. So when you open your door, like I needed you to open my door, I was like, what is happening right now? And it was all, it was so crazy. This is kind of off topic, but it was so crazy. That was the first thing that hit me. I said, you know what? Yes, I'm on a historically Black college, and most of the people around me are Black, but that was a cultural experience right there because we were very diverse in what we knew and understood and our norms. We made it look alike, but it was a lot of cultural differences that happened on that campus. And so, yeah, that you make me think about that, about being a proper gentleman and all that, because that is a real thing in some households, and in others is absolutely not. So, but I get it. I get it. Appreciate you, brother Mitchell, man. You always give it to us right, and that's a real message you laid on us, man, on this health and wellness game. And that's something that we think about how we shop, how often we shop, and where we're shopping, and what we're getting. That's good info. That's really good information. So thank you, brother. Get that workout in. I know you're about to do it. Getting your stretches on. So we'll get on it. We'll get on it. Anybody? I love it. I love it. I love it. Anybody else? Let's open up the call. Anybody else want to jump in, share, talk a little bit about their October? What's going on? Good, bad, ugly? We want to open up the call. We'll open up the call now. Anybody would like to jump in and share? And for our folks on social media, feel free to jump in, leave in the comments things that you're working on. And if we can be supportive, or if there's some ideas, things that are on your top of your mind and you'd like to share as well, please feel free to comment and join in the call as well. We'll open up the call now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man. So I see you out and about. You out, you on them.
In my day to day for the past 2 days now, and hadn't got any gas. And I never, normally quarter I go, but I just been going hand in hand. I'm at the grocery store. And so when I moved around this morning, I'm like, man, first I gotta go. I gotta get to the, I gotta get, go get some gas. So I pulled in, listening to Dwayne and everything. I got inside. So I didn't get out to go pump the gas. So I'm at the pump. I'm at the DPS. And I'm like, and as I'm about to get out, the car was connected to the Bluetooth, and then I hear, I'm like, did I just buy a gas?
No. No.
But look, I'm at the pump though. But it was just funny that I was like, I don't, I couldn't be knowing that to happen. But now I see how far you can push it after it gets ready.
That's real.
And then the pump, like, if I try to just cut it back on, I'm like, I think I'm out of gas. What is the gas? Just as I was about to hit, because I was about to, pump. So just as I was about to say something about all this personal development stuff, I'm sitting on the gas at a gas pump.
Yeah, it's a good place to run out of gas, though.
Getting out to go get gas, but it's kind of weird. I never had to ask before. Anyway, so this is what we got.
Yes, sir.
October, first off, October was very interesting for me personally, right? Like just random stuff. And maybe that's what this means. Maybe that's where I am. Random things are happening in October. One, going back to what Tatiana was saying, before I talk about all my random stuff, I feel you so much on your birthday being reflective and a time to actually think and reconstruct. And I do it as well to the point where, you know, people like to party and celebrate on their birthdays, and I embrace that wholeheartedly. And I like to, you know, sit down, you know, mainly talk to my mother, you know, and go back and, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, where we were and how things have been going and all that, and friends and family, like it's a celebratory piece. But the idea of like thinking and reflecting during your birthday or around the time you're born, it's something that I just think is so important, and it grabs me, you know. So I had to, and when she said that, it sparked something at me, because I struggled with making sure that it was only a reflection, and like a move forward kind of thing, like an adjustment, not necessarily a kick yourself in the butt session, like, man, all year, all year. What you last year.
That's right.
So I'm not going to say it wasn't that at one point, but so I eliminated that and moved more into the reflective piece and the planning session, you know, and it's very personal, obviously, because, you know, it's your birthday. So it's and I see why she said that. You know, she said to her friend or whoever was like, "You turn mean during October." And I felt it on that, like, not that I turned mean, but the fact that, you know, as the things are coming up, you're thinking that, you know, you're contemplating. So thing, she was just, although it's not my birthday right now, but when she said it, I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll do that too."
It's real.
Feel good. It's a good time to reflect. To the point that once when I turned a milestone, or like I think it was 25 maybe. Shit I was dealing with at the time was like, you know, what you do for your birthday? You know, what you gonna do? I'm like, well, I kind of just, you know, I went down, you know, got my thoughts together. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be by myself. He's like, you're dating somebody else, something like that. You ain't going. That's me out. You was gonna date me.
That's that paranoia of the age of 25, right? Got it.
Anyway.
The criminal just so happen to not be doing the crime. Yes. No. I was in deep thought.
In the beginning part of the conversation, that's the beauty of the call. Certain things strike people at certain times, you know, throughout the call, when you're getting good information. So that helps me. It's random because it's so close to my birthday. But anyway, maybe I'm on random thoughts about October. So just think about October. So first off, October, and I still laugh thinking about it, and it was important to me. Obviously, it's more important to the people who are engaged in the unity of matrimony. But I became ordained as a minister and wound up marrying my brother-in-law and his new wife. And as much as I love the public speak, meaning that, and there are some people who can feel me on that. and some people who don't. Some people who just like to talk, and then there's some people who when they get the opportunity to get on the microphone in front of a stage, they just say, "Whoa, this is what I want to do," and they go at it.
Yeah.
I fit that category because it's not like I got so much to say all the time, but just the idea of being a ham, in that many words, even as a little kid, just want to get up there, and say stuff. And I see it in my daughter, I see it in other people's children, and I see it in other people that I deal with. And I see the reverse also in people, meaning that I know people who have great things to say, who are very introspective, who should be, speaking more from doing public speaking or whatever. But and when you talk to a one-on-one, it's so insightful, but they just, for all the reasons that we already know, choose not to, hit a mic or aren't excited to grab a microphone or be on a stage and say stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so that for me, I enjoy that. But in this case, the importance and the gravity of it, it wasn't just me saying something or, trying to convey a message or whatever. It was, somebody getting married. And as much as I'm a fun guy, a smiling guy, and a joking guy, I take shit seriously also.
Yeah.
So when they were in preparing for that, one, it did two things. One, in preparing for the going over the vows and all that kind of stuff, it made me reflect on my marriage, things that have happened, requirements that to be married, how you act, what you should do. I'm looking for quotes, and I'm trying to put together something that would be, appropriate, because they tasked me with this and said, "Hey, look, can you do this?"
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they left it very open. Like, "Hey, man, just do your past thing." I'm like, "Well, what the hell is that?" I'm like, "Okay, I got it. I'm a hot button. I don't want to mess this up, or be, put a stamp on their union that says, "Hey, man, everything was good except and we can just got whoever to do it." So with that, the interesting piece about it was, and it's so random, is the fact that I did have the opportunity to reflect on, my marriage, and it put a stamp. I don't want to say it even lit a fire. What I will say is it made me more aware. It made me more aware of things that were happening that, okay, so here's what it is. I'm going to put the words together. Yeah. It took me back to the time when I first got married, X number of years ago. And it made me reflect, similar to the birthday conversation, but different from an anniversary. It had nothing to do with, the celebration of, we're, anniversary, and we're at dinner, and we do that. We'll go to dinner and just talk about what happened in the year, and that's cool. This was different. This was like almost a time machine, that took me right back to that time, and the thoughts and the dreams, the goals, and then the vision of where I thought things might go. And it was, hilarious because you have, you're so far off. Well, not completely far off, but just, like everything else in life. You lay out plans, but, then life takes you in turns, and then you move, and you're not quite on the same path that you might have thought you were going to be on when you imagine what it was going to be. So it kind of took me to a time machine there. So that was weird because it was real. And it was due to something, it was just due to a different circumstance. Like I said, the anniversary thing is something, that's really the only time where you both are locked in. Hey, let's think about when we have it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's time for sure. I know you get this a lot. I don't get it as much because I don't live in Facebook land. But when you get those pictures that pop up, it's like the memory.
Yeah.
My phone does it sometimes. but I don't have those pictures in my phone. Okay, so maybe something like that, but it was more powerful because it was wrapped in the same energy that was, getting when we got there. So that was unique. It was just like I said, weird stuff was happening. I wasn't a minister, and now I walk around telling people. And here's the funniest thing, and one other thing. The funniest thing is that when I tell people who were not, involved in the family or anything like that, what you doing? I'm not available for this on Saturday. I mean, yeah, I'm marrying somebody. I got ordained. Man, you lie. I got that so much to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm just joking. And I didn't even explain. I said, I'm crazy right now. I'm just going. Left them live in the fact that I just was joking about it. And I was like, just attending. And after the third time, and then I had to circle back and explain to them, like, because some other people do the social media, the other things, it's like, man, you were saying the truth. Didn't believe that you were, pass the tea and all that.
The key.
That's the funny part about the fact that somebody such as myself would be
Such as myself.
Ordained as a minister.
In fact, I gotta tell you, man. I gotta tell you. So I had so many people like who saw the video on social media will say, "Is that Negro a pastor?" Some of your boys too. I was like, oh, it was, but the thing about it was the truth. And here's the real truth. The real truth. I mean, it looked so right. Like I was like, oh yeah, it's dignified brother about to say something to us. I felt very comfortable. I was there to witness it. It felt so right. I was like, this is right. Like this is a right thing that's happening right now.
Something, right? It's so random, or random October. That was a thing.
Yeah.
It's general thing. But the feeling of doing it and the nervousness about doing it was higher than I've been nervous in, I don't know, any specific one thing to do.
Oh wow.
Nervous. And the reason was because one, I think it was the gravity of seriously, what it is. Like, it's obviously a celebration and people take it as, hey, we're coming to party. And we, the lady party, probably the hardest I've ever partied at a wedding. It was insane, like the sweatiness, like I said, at the actual party. I'm not taking anything away from the celebratory party.
Exactly.
But by reflecting on it and seeing what it is and the gravity of what marriage represents, it put that into my spirit like that. This is real, and then to be involved in a marriage and be thinking about all the things, it was real, and then the idea that you want to make sure that you do the right thing, and you want to make sure that you say the right thing, and you don't mess up the cue, and all the things that typically I really don't give a shit about. Like, we're doing an event, hey man, get out the way. Hey, tap the mic. Everybody who's out there, you already, and I'm just
Yeah.
So, you do, for $100 and all that things that people care about. But this is just that feeling and emotional rush and that nervousness was also good because it took me back to a time where, you're a child, like a child. You might have been nervous to get on stage and talk or, give a speech, doing that stuff. That feeling was, I hadn't felt that in a butterfly either, which I relish that. So, okay. Well, this is interesting. This is a very interesting experience, and I'm grateful that I had it, and and I did the best that I could. So, look about that. And also, if you want to cash at me, my new church right now, I think there may be one on the phone right now. There's one on the phone. There's one here right now. Turn this low. Yeah. Come down. Mute your phone right now.
I'll mute the phone. You ready, brother? You ready?
Big ass Black Joe Osteen.
You got one. You got one, brother. Are you available? What's happening, bro? Hey, just embrace it, brother. Just embrace it, man.
It's just there was a different feeling. It was a lot of things wrapped up in one. So,
I love it.
Yeah. So, man. I'm not going to hold up. Now, once you got going, interesting enough. So there you go.
Yeah. So you are open for like wedding, renewing of vows and things like that. So I think that's in the cards. Renew. I love it. The Universal Church, New Life Universal. I love it. I'm so glad you didn't do that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you didn't do it. Oh my God. Now I do have a follow-up question. I do have a follow-up. So I got to follow up on that. So let me ask you this, because you highlighted something that I think is so important. Is you talked about the feeling that you had, the nervousness. When you think about that, do you welcome those type of experiences, and why? And if you do, why? Yeah.
It's new because it's happened before. But when it's in it, you got to use it for energy, but now in reflecting on and like on the outside, on the other side of it, being done with the experience, it's definitely something that I'm like, wow, you need that. I need another feeling like that.
Yeah.
Another kind of experience with, create those energies, because that energy, it was definitely something. Put tapping, nervous, that kind of stuff is
Mm.
It was powerful, and it was another way to access. You get it from different ways. You get it from anger. You get it from joy. You can get it from fear. Sometimes that real stuff, real thing, full of
Yeah.
this was until the activity occurred. And it was a build up for people. So the day of, early, it builds up, and 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 builds up. Roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And then
The drop. So that's why I asked you that question, right? So there's so much. We actually could do this the rest of the call on this, and in many ways we are going to do the rest of the call on this. But that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because some people will basically just saying, using that roller coaster analogy, will say, "Yo, I'm never doing that again. Like, it was the thrill, but I'm never doing that again." You know what I'm saying? And so it's the fact of going through these quote unquote abnormal experiences, which will create, and I should just go ahead and use the word fear, but I like the way you highlighted, at the end of the day, it's energy, and so nervous energy or whatever the case may be, it's still a state of mind. I was talking to Madison about this the other day. It's like when we go to football games, you have the performance, and then you have everybody who's watching, the spectators. And it's the same as if you are in, and she goes to a performing arts school. So when you are in performing arts, people come to see you, and you should, and whatever quote unquote nervousness is there, it's only energy that you can use to be perfect, to be outstanding, to be the show, to light somebody up, and that's the difference between somebody who embraces the performance, versus someone who's thinking about what the people who are looking at them are thinking and saying about them. It's like, oh, what are they going to say? And it's like you don't even get to a point of what you care what they think. You're just basically using all of the energy that comes with it to light them up because you are performing, and so that is the case, period. When we talk about energy and what to do with, and what is energy really, fear, excitement, anxiety. I mean, it's just a bunch of energy that you're trying to figure out which direction to put it in, and so but I want to quickly go back to this one point. I was recording the whole thing. So, and Rhea was like, "You can't record the whole." I said, "Well, I got certain parts I got to get." Right? I got certain parts that I have to get for Dream Makers purposes, research purposes, right? So, two two things I got when you walked in. And so this is the thing: when you talk about people who are nervous, the question is, who else knows it? If you see somebody walking and say, "Ooh, they nervous," because they hadn't used the energy yet to get into to deliver something. or maybe they don't even know that the nervous energy is good energy to deliver what you're really trying to do. So you can tell certain people who are nervous because they look nervous, right? And they're like, I'm going to throw up, right? Kind of nervous. But when you walked in, no, there was no ounce of nervousness that was apparent to anybody who was looking. It looked like somebody who's done this 1,000 times and was getting ready to, prepare to be blown away, like they say on what's the a Madagascar movie. If you watch Madagascar, they prepare to be blown away, right? But you gave off that kind of energy, right? And so, but this goes back to personal development, to be able to take it all in, use the natural gifts, have a destination in mind of what this performance will be. And when we talk about the word performance, you look at whatever the situation is. In this situation, these people are going to spend the rest of their lives knowing that an ordained minister officiated their wedding, so they have a legit wedding, right? so that's in there. But then at the same time, you got people in the room who've been married for 50 years. You have people who've been married, for 10 years. You have people who are dating. You got young people who are trying to figure out, is this even something I should think about in the future? So what do they need to hear? Right? So it's those kind of situations where you can take that energy and deliver it. And that's what happened. And that's what, Kelly asked me afterwards, was like, she's like, yo, your boy is just out of sight. He was great. I was like, listen, what happened is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Because for those who don't know, Kelly is the bride. And she came to me afterwards during the reception. She was like, your boy knocked it out the park. He was so great. And I was like, listen, when you guys made the decision to ask somebody like like this brother to officiate your wedding, it's done. No, first of all, it's a blessing that they would ask their brother-in-law to do that, right? But it's another to know that here's somebody who's intentional about adding value, and if there's a way to add value to your life, I'm going to do it, kind of thing, right? So it was just one of those situations where I said, I knew what was getting ready to happen, and when you watch something come to life, I was like, that was great. So I'm glad you highlighted the fact that the nervousness was a real thing, but you were able to just identify that nervousness as energy that can be used. And for personal development purposes, we want to make sure that all of us know, regardless of where the energy, what that feeling or emotion is, it's to your benefit, as long as you've defined in your mind what you're trying to accomplish. So, and that was going back to that point I was talking about earlier this week when I had the meeting and I got mad. I said, you know what? I'm already mad. So I may as well use this energy to hammer in my point even further. I may as well just, because there's an end goal there's a reason why we're meeting. Let's just make it even more clear. Let's use this energy, even though I wasn't expecting it to come, but it's here now. So let's just use it to, and here's the other point too. When I say the word hammer in my point, you haven't hammered in a point if everyone didn't walk away understanding what the goal was. If you hit everybody over the head and made them mad too, then that you didn't really, did anybody win? But if the energy can help you communicate better, because you kind of have a purpose goal, so energy by itself, isn't isn't the thing. You get the energy is there, and you need the energy. But the question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be able to use it? And you have to have a purposed goal in your mind that you're thinking about. That's something that you're trying to deliver, something that you're trying to perform. As we go back, as I show my daughter, it's like, when you're practicing, you've been practicing this thing so much. We're watching you practice, 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 practice. But now it's showtime. And there is nervous energy happening. Thank God for that. Thank God for the nervous energy, because that's the energy you're going to need to deliver what you were thinking and trying to perfect in your mind. So yeah, I'm glad you shared. I was hoping you were going to share. I didn't, as you know, I didn't prep it. Say, hey man, make sure you talk about this. So I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you were honest about how you felt.
Right.
I thought somebody was getting ready to jump on. Feel free to jump in. Okay. All right. So we are roughly at 8:25, and this is a perfect segue because I want to talk about fear, and I think that we've already danced on this topic a little bit, but fear is what a lot of times the easy answer. It's the easy word to use when we talk about nervousness, concerns. It's really just, I was afraid. That was the deal. And so I want to talk about fear from the perspective of goals and what's important to you, and if it serves as a roadblock. At the same time, we have to really ask ourselves, if we feel a certain emotion that we could probably nail down as fear, then we get to the place of, is it crippling fear? Is it so? Is that energy so pronounced? That it will stop you from doing whatever you said you really wanted to do. And that is really where I want to kind of go and stay there for a while, because when we create goals, and here's the thing, that you have situations where you have a goal and something that you're working on is part of your plan, and even when you look at the plan, you say, "Oh yeah, I can definitely do that. I can do that." Not so sure. So hopefully between now and then, I'll gain up enough courage to overcome that fear and do it. That's one thing. Another situation is when it's not part of the plan. You're forced into a situation that you don't want to be in. You're really afraid to do it, but you absolutely you're in a situation where you have to do it or else, kind of thing. So knowing that these two examples could very well happen, so the fear that's part of the plan, and then the unexpected fear. At the end of the day, from a personal development perspective, we have to address both, because personal development says I have a goal that I need to accomplish that's part of my life's work. And even if it's something that's happening, it's an emergency, it's off the situation, you can still make a determination. Is doing this part of my life's work? Because it's something that I have to do. So like, say you're in a situation, you're in a car accident, and your loved one's in the car, and the car flipped over, and thank God you're still alive and you're able to do something. Are you just going to sit there and wait, for the ambulance hopefully to come? Or are you going to get into some type of mode and ask God for clarity and wisdom to get to do it, to help your family? One of those kind of situations. And so we want to be able to at least have that framework of the extreme and the planned levels of fear in our mind and our consciousness. one of the books that I would tell you, and we go back to this, and Paz definitely knows that where we've kind of gone back to as kind of a baseline to address this is The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, or even the more marketed version of Think and Grow Rich. Same book, same premise. And there's a whole chapter in that book that talks about the 6 ghosts of fear. The 6 ghosts of fear, which basically is outlining that here are the 6 areas of fear that most people deal with at some point in their life. And there are other fears that are kind of within the genre of one of these 6. And so I'm gonna just kind of go through what Napoleon Hill highlights as the 6 ghosts of fear. And so it says the 6 basic fears is fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health. And those 3 he identifies as the most people experience. Those 3: fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health. Fear of loss of a loved one, fear of old age, and fear of death. And when we think about those 6 areas of fear in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day life, why would any of these areas of fear, why would any of these areas make us fearful? And even in reading through some of those, like, so we think about fear of poverty. There are some people who fear poverty, and there are others who don't. You know, there's some, if I would say, just kind of as a general statement, most husbands and fathers who are husbands and fathers at the same time, are saying, I fear poverty because if I can't provide for my family, number one, I did my wife a disservice in marrying me. And 2, I got these children looking at me like, I thought you were supposed to provide for me. I thought you were supposed to do this for me. There's some people who care about that. And there are others who don't. There are others who will say, who cares? Matter of fact, who cares about being a husband? Who cares about being a father? Who cares about being in poverty? Who cares? Like some people who live on a baseline of where that's just not something that really matters. And we can break down why that's the case and how they came to that assumption or whatever the case may be. But that is the situation. Fear of criticism is kind of tapping into what I would say, even past, as we were talking about this piece of nervousness. But even when I think about my meeting earlier this week, where the fear of criticism is what made me, I would say, partially frustrated and concerned and fearful for that when the topic came up, because they may say, you know what, I think the way your recommendation on this is wrong. I think it's wrong. And, and in the case, Paz, in your case, probably the worst case scenario would be if the bride and groom came back and said, man, you did a horrible job. That was horrible. We feel like we need to do this over. We got to do a do-over.
Right now, I feel bad thinking that it's over. When you said that, I'll be like, if somebody said that, like, yeah, we're going to have to do it. We'll still do the party, but we're going to.
We do the ceremony over. A lot of people don't know this. But when Barack Obama became president and was sworn in as president. They had to do it over because Chief Justice Roberts flubbed it. He said the wrong words. When everybody was standing there watching, and we were all there. I think some of us were there watching it in the cold, 18 degrees. He said the wrong words, and Obama was trying to say, "Hey, man, this is you didn't say that right." Later that day, they had to go back and do it over in the private room to make sure he was a legit president of the United States and took the right oath of office. So sometimes you got to go do a good do-over, right? If you mess it up. So, but that fear of criticism can do that, right? Fear of ill health. I think when we think about fear of ill health and fear of dying, I think is in the same vein. But I will say one thing about the ill health is that, I tell people all the time, one of the reasons why I don't like taking medicine a lot is because I use my brain for a living. And if I'm foggy and I can't just show up and just, okay, give me that brick and I'm gonna put that brick right here and I'm gonna give me that one. That's not what I do for a living. If it was that, I could come, foggy and still just do that, but that's not it. So if my brain isn't sharp and I'm on meds and everything, so it's hard for me to do my job. Now, on top of that, so that's not even a death concern. That's more so I'm fearful of ill health and not feeling well because it goes back to the fear of poverty. So those are kind of mixed in. Probably even when you think about fear of criticism, right? Because if you're trying to provide a service for your clients and it's like, what, I just think that's a wrong recommendation. Matter of fact, I want to end this contract right now because you've been making consistent wrong recommendations, I feel, and so, you're not adding any value to this relationship, to this engagement. So these levels of fear, and the others, when we talk about fear of loss of loved one, fear of old age, fear of death, I will say though, when you think about fear of loss of loved one, there was one day, actually, this was earlier this week, I think. And this is part of the reason why I'm like, I think I'm just going to get off of social media. As you scrolling and you see someone who's our age, who's lost a loved one, lost their husband, their spouse. And I'm sitting here just like, I cannot imagine. I'm sitting there and I find myself going back to their page just to see, and it's like, why are you going back and watching, but it is that fear of losing the one you said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person, and then you meet people who have lost multiple spouses, it's like, they have a different take on this thing called life that people who have lost close family, close friends and family at short amounts of time. If they're moving and looking at things differently because of life has dealt them in a way that's different from most people, and so that in of itself is definitely, it's kind of, people have their approaches to dancing around those types of fears. I'll even going back to that one point I was making about some people who just say, I don't care. Like, why should I care? Why should I care about being a good dad? Why should I care about being a husband in period? Why should I care about keeping this job? All these kinds of things. They made a decision as their approach to dance around fears, to approach it differently, to approach what this life and meaning and what we should be responsible for and what we should really care about. Some people may say, I should only just care about making sure I have food in my body and clothes on my back. And that is the only thing I should care about. And some people can make that determination and just ride with that and go through life. And, you know, we had a conversation earlier with a good friend of ours who has a daughter who's roughly almost 30 now. She's never met her dad. Never met him. She knows he exists. And it's the fact of, you know, him not reaching out. You know, it's just like, and he just determined at some point, you know, so what? For what? You know, it happened. You know, life happens, kind of thing. You know, and so we're all kind of moving in different approaches to dance around fears and responsibility and goals and all this kind of stuff. And I think that as we continue to focus on whether it's planned goals or things that have become immediate but it's now on the list of goals, you know, that we should just recognize that fear is a thing, but it can't be bigger than the objective, especially if the objective or the goal is part of why you believe you're here. It's part of the work that you believe you are here to do. You know, we got this life. God gave us the strength, the abilities, the people, the experiences to be successful, to be helpful, to add value in a host of different ways. And we all know that person. We all know somebody who is just blessed with gifts and talents and experiences and abilities. And we all feel like, you know, they're just not putting it to use. You know, if they would just get out of the way and push that fear and get over that issue that happened, man, they would be great. It's actually the same. I think, at least in the Black community, we all say the same thing about Chris Brown. So like, we all say, every time the word Chris Brown comes up, it's like, oh, so much talent. You know, so much talent. He could be the next Michael kind of thing, you know, but he just, you know, those kind, and who knows what it is that, you know, he may have said, hey, I don't care about those things. I'm doing me. But I want to make sure that in this conversation, that because we all know what our fears are. We know what we fear. And to have fears is to be human, you know. My question to everybody on the call today, and hopefully we can open up the call and have some dialogue on this, is, are the things that you have, when you look at your goals and what you're working on and what you're pursuing and what really matters to you, are there fears out there that basically have put you in a situation that I just can't do it? Or if I do it, I need to overcome this fear first. I can inch toward it, but I can't fully go into this thing until I overcome this. You know, we all know, and some of you may want to share and talk about it, but we know it's out there. And I didn't want the year to go by where we're focusing on goals, we're focusing on personal development, but we just dance around the topic of fear. I don't want us to do that. I think that would be a disservice to this network if we did. So let's take a second to open up the call now. I know it's one of those topics that you say, hey, not it. I'm not talking about it. But I think it's worth, you know, being honest with ourselves. And even if you don't want to verbalize it on the call, reach out to me directly, because I think this is something that I don't want us to go through the rest of this year and go into a new year with the same goals and the same fears, and the fears are winning that battle. So let's take a second and open up the call now. Anybody who's willing to highlight some fears that you can say honestly have gotten in the way of your growth and development and reaching certain goals. We'll open up the call now. Not it. Not it.
So here's what I got, right? This things that I know.
And I just want to say we had 2 people to hang up the call just a second ago. I just want to say that we had like 2 people. It's not it. Oh, you want me to talk about fears? I'm hanging up. This is not my kind of call. Yeah.
Like each one of them, because they are universal. And if you look at the fears that it's probably, for me personally, and I know for most people, is that fear of criticism piece. And having even when you said they had the redo and then the Obama scenario, or like, imagine if Jay Kelly was like, oh, this won't work. I was laughing because it was funny, right? But there was the other part of my mind was in the mode. Like, imagine people coming up to me saying, you know what I'm saying? Or my mother, like, this happened in a quick split second. Your brain is so fast, you can do, okay, milliseconds, you can have a whole story in your mind in milliseconds, so it comes in like that. Or my mother being like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, it was your first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's your heart pumping. And then when you talked about, what's his name, the justice, because I had framed myself in the scenario of being the officiant. I imagine I felt bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about him, me being him, and having to go into this chamber, looking at the first black president, and being like, oh man, I fucked it up, but let's go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Will this be my legacy? I'm a check, whatever. Nobody cares. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I live in that thing for a bit, and it made me feel better. Now, you recover quickly from it, but it was there. And the fear of criticism is something that, that's definitely struggle with that. I think about it. I don't think about what my day consists of.
Yeah.
Many times I may change the shirt before I leave the house. So I will not lay out now, but have an outfit in the morning while I'm over there. And I'll put it on, look at it, and be like that. Let me change the shirt. And it'll just be sweatpants and a damn t-shirt. Like, it's not even,
Yeah.
The idea is criticize the concept and of people criticizing me in there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That has put me in positions where I've been, late to something. Like, I changed the clothes 3 times, and then I got there and nobody gave a shit. To chalk that up to being, particular.
Yeah.
In this scenario we're talking about, it's not being particular. It's being
fearful.
It's being afraid of the criticism that'll
Yeah.
So this is the biggest challenge that I have as far as a fear goes. And I can't pinpoint every fear, but I will say this. The main main way that it manifests, a fear manifests for me, is in procrastination, which by default is one of the areas that I say, always saying, you know, I want to get rid of procrastination, I want to eliminate procrastination. So I'm afraid of something, and I just procrastinate on it. You know,
Yeah.
and if it's a goal, if something is goal related, it's super detrimental to the goal because I'm afraid of it, obviously because it has something to do, you know, I put it on the thing that has something to do. And then in that struggle, and here comes the personal development, in that coming to myself and, you know, trying to work my way through it, because the definition is automatic. You know, that's the default. That's the default. The fear is the default. To do. Whatever reason, maybe it goes back to being criticized. Maybe I just don't want to hear no. Maybe whatever the root of the fear is, but I'm afraid to actually reach out to the call. So procrastination kicks in. And then in that procrastination fear kind of, you know, fight between one another, I have to break through it and then, you know, in this sense, just make the call. You know, now sometimes it goes the way I just go, no, sometimes it doesn't go. But that piece right there it holds up. And sometimes I just don't do it. Sometimes I figure out other ways and then, you know, you procrastinate and then procrastination leaves a space for other things to fill in. And then you get busy doing the other things and then it allows that thing to, you know, go to the proverbial back burner. You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of simmers back there and it dies. And then by the time you think about it, you justify but it has to get so long, and whatever that time frame is, it could be, oh man, I was going to make it and you know, it's 6:50 now, so I'm not going to make it now. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it stems from the fear, and when I know my procrastination, I know that there's a fear of something in there. So that's the main way. I'm saying this like the trigger is to recognize that in goal areas, I'm afraid of something. And then, you know, that's when the fight happens. And the fight is not always, you know, I'm not saying, oh, that's when I and that's when I get the other side. No, that's not what happens. A lot of the time, stuff falls on the back burner, and then I wind up, you know, angry and frustrated, and then having to reset and replan and repurpose and then try to go back at it again. You know what I'm saying? Like in the car scenario, you know, all right, that's a Friday. And I'm mad most of the weekend. I'm an asshole, man, but like, itchy nuts kind of mad because you got to get this thing done on Monday. But you could have did it on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know? So that piece here, the procrastination is the manifestation of the fear, is the action part of the fear for me. That affects the goals, and I've been working on that. And the thing that I would like to be able to do that I'm working on is that I would like you sent out a text. You text me. I'm sure you text everybody this day. Get you out on your personal development. You know what I'm saying? Pilgrimage. Just texting people. Man, what's your goals right now? Please, it's 9:30 at night. Don't ask me about my goals, sir. Laying down. What's your purpose? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought about it. And I'm saying that I'm going all the way back to when I took the purpose thing, I was like, the purpose is to become the man that I admire, right? And the man and then put that man, you know, bring that man to the world, you know, for good deeds, right? But one of the characteristics of the man that I admire is that when he is afraid of something, he recognizes that and he charges it. He's courageous in all, you know, in everything that's important. And so seeing that fear recognizing it, and then attacking it is something that I strive to be. Somebody who's like, he is still afraid, but in the phone call scenario, like, oh man, I don't want to make that call. He just automatically calls. He's in the bullshit. You know, he's hold on, man, I gotta make a call. You know, he immediately attacks with fear. And I don't live in that space, but that's something that I would like to, you know, that I'm striving for. So there's my procrastination and fear thing, I'm working on.
So I'm glad you kind of went to that point, because I think that when we look at fear, I think at the end of the day, definitely for me and probably for everybody, is we want to be someone who doesn't find fear crippling. You know, that fear, at the end of the day, we recognize fear as energy. And if we recognize fear as energy, then we can confidently say, okay, well, great. Now I got some fuel to help me do what I was trying to do. And just go right at it. Because if we look at fear as just fear and something that I haven't done before, or I did it before and I messed up the last time, so I don't want to go through that humiliation again, or whatever the case, if we look at it just as fear in and of itself, then yeah, we're not going to, you know, we're like, okay, why would I go do that again? But if we look at fear as just another ball of energy that, you know, I have a goal I'm trying to reach. I hadn't reached it yet, but while I am very afraid, and that very afraid comes with a big ball of energy that I can use. And the question is, how do you use energy to accomplish a goal? And that's kind of that transmutation, if you will. But it's just, you know, it's what you're focusing on. So if you're very afraid and you got, you know, you're anxious, it's all in your chest, you know, whatever it takes. Like sometimes when I get afraid, my eyes dry up. Like I get like this, you know, I get really, my eyes start drying up and I'm like, okay, here we go. All the senses are starting to go off. I get like, my throat gets kind of heavy, and my brain at that moment says, okay, you're legit. This is a big fear, right? This is heavy. Now think about what you're trying to do. And so shift the thought, not on the fear, because you know it's there. You know the energy is right. It's fired up. Now think about what you're really trying to accomplish. And what you're really trying to accomplish is whatever that goal is. And you immediately focus on that, because the energy is already there. It's just going to give you that extra, you know, resource to do well, because you're now thinking about the thing that you want and you start acting on it. You start doing it. You know, when we're just talking with the guys, we have this conversation about one of the other chapters in this book, which is the law of sexual transmutation. And I always talk about the fact that Henry Ford's model, where he basically, his office was at the end of a hall, and he went and hired the most beautiful, you know, assistants for him to work for him. So as he's walking to his hall, he would see all of these beautiful women. And every day it would just raise his energy. It would he would just get excited and more excited and more excited and more excited. And by the time he got to the office, just pick up the phone and start doing deals, or whatever mode of communication he was using at that point, to just start doing deals, because he had high energy at that point and said, boom, let's go. I'm focused. I'm ready to knock this out. But that was his science project that he used. And at the end of the day, the point is to make is that there are things, whether it's positive energy, negative energy, fear, anxiousness, whatever it is, if it's really big, that's just a ball of energy you can use to quickly focus on what it is you're actually trying to accomplish. And as long as we have that in our brains, we can use it. We can use that when we need it. The thing is, there's not a lot of conversations like this to have these types of, okay, well, what to do? I'm afraid, man. What can I do? Well, focus on what it is that you're trying to accomplish at the moment that you're scared, at that moment. And and I say another piece of this right at 9 o'clock. But part of the reason why I like going to football games and performances, I love the performing arts. And to see, because when I'm there, I'm watching people who have practiced, who have prepared themselves, who are in front of a stage, on the stage, in front of a host of people, and it's on. Now's the time, go. And many of them probably are either full of fear and excitement, or nervous or scared or ready to perform, but they have a ball of energy that they're using to do as well as they can, whether it's a show or a football game or whatever the case may be. And I think that we have to utilize that, when we are preparing to do something that may make us fearful. Just recognize that lights are on, lights, camera, action, and you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish. Now's your time to go and do that. Now's your time to make that thing real. It's no longer theory. It's no longer practice. Lights are on. Let's go. And we can apply that in our own day-to-day stuff. We can definitely apply it to our longer strategic goals. But those things that just showed up on your plate today, and that was not part of the plan, and you can't wait to get it off your plate, that's the goal. It's on your plate. Somebody threw it on there. They knew you had a whole bunch of other stuff going on, but now it's there. Your number one goal is to get it off your plate. Use the frustrated energy you have to knock it out. And I just want to be able to communicate that we do have these immediate goals that are staring us in the face. And then we have those strategic, I can't wait to accomplish because my life is going to be 1,000 times better goals that we are working toward. But at the end of the day, in both scenarios, the immediate and the long term, we have to use the energy and focus on the goal. The combination of those two things will get you to what you're trying to accomplish. But we just want to make sure that kind of stuff is front of your mind, as it's right there ready to go when those sometimes unfortunate situation comes and you are completely nervous, scared, and frustrated and all of that, and you're ready to get it done. So anybody else want to jump in on this topic? I'm really happy, to be honest with you, that we're having this conversation for myself personally, but I feel like this is a topic that is just danced around in so many worlds, and I just didn't want it to be danced around in this network. So, but let's open up the call. Anybody else who'd like to share questions, comments? We'll open up the call now. All right.
Thank you, man. I wanted to hear. Boy, y'all are holding back on me today. I got get back and forth. I got funny stuff to say. I got to the gym.
Yeah.
But you did say something that I just wanted to highlight. Is that which is the idea and the concept of reframe. We hear a lot. That person is on space. The idea of reframing whatever's going on. So when you say when you reframe that feeling of fear into a ball of energy. I mean, literally think about it like a ball of energy. It um, makes it less scary, I guess. You know, you imagine fear itself, what does it look like? So it looks like, I don't know, maybe a monster or something like that. So if you think, imagine it like just a ball of energy, and now you kind of got it in your hand, like, you know, move or whatever, you know, small, like a baseball, a lit, illuminated baseball, or maybe it's even a basketball, whatever. It's bigger, but it still makes it nice, you know, reach, okay, this is what this is. Now, you know, so that's a great technique if you have the wherewithal and the self awareness to know what's happening. Like, okay, I'm actually afraid that it's happening, and okay, it is fear. Now you don't have to go all the way down all the reasons why you're fear. You know, like, hey, you know, I was 6 years old. You know,
Yeah.
I'm afraid. You know, you don't have to go into that realm, but if you say, okay, it's a fear, bam, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this ball of energy and apply it to whatever it is, and that retrain. I think it's a good thing to back one because I think it's good for your toolkit, if you will. When you working through fear, that was one thing. The other comment was just a blanket statement about it happens to the beginning to the end is that the call kind of felt like in the beginning it was a tribute to personal development, right? Like, you know, hey, this is why I do personal development. You know, it does this for me, it does that for me, it does that. You kind of move down the line. One of the things, one of the beauties that I embrace as far as personal development is probably my number one. Out of all the things that personal development has done for me, the one thing is if I can get rid of them all and just go to one. Nah, maybe not. Because I'm like too strong to say it. This is ranking. This is not ranking. This is like cheese good. It is the concept of you're aware, and then it actually gives you self-control. Because a lot of the things that I feel like I run into that are challenges, or anybody really, is when you really get out of control, out of emotional control. Control, I mean control like you don't have the emotion or the fear or the joy or whatever. I ain't control like they're running you. You know, your fear is running you all night. It's there, but personal development, when you really work on it, it puts you back in the driver's seat. I heard it described once that you think you're driving like a regular person that I guess hasn't taken any, it's just going through life, just accepting whatever's happening, the regular program, hasn't taken any steps to move towards personal development. And so you think you're in control of the car, but what's really happening is your emotions are in control of the car, and you're in the passenger seat, holding to the side of the thing. In the wheel, you're like, oh no, anger got the thing.
Oh no.
And you're like, wait a minute, man. And they take you back over here. But you think like, oh, I'm running the show. No, you're in the passenger seat until you get personal development. And you really, then you need to get the passenger seat. And then anger is running with you, but they're not controlling or steering the direction of where you want to go. You're like, yeah, I know you're angry. Like it's almost like DC all had this, with children. It's like you got that baby going crazy in the back seat. But they're not gonna get that. They're not gonna get that poisonous McDonald's for that.
Yeah.
They have you're uncomfortable. You're still going to where you're gonna go. You know what I'm saying? No, we're not stopping. You got someplace to go. You can't believe this.
Yeah.
If you show up at the destination,
yeah.
If they could drive right, not into the drive-thru, straight into the McDonald's.
That's right.
happens in personal development is it gives you back, or establishes, I don't know if it gives you back, it establishes self-control. And the more self-control you have in those, extreme scenarios, that you can draw on is a blessing. It's a super blessing.
Yeah.
A lot of people who don't have it. You wind up doing wrong things,
Yeah,
that was my comment.
You hit it right on the money. I know my wife is probably like, you better get out in this call because we got an appointment coming up. But it made me think about two quick things. One, when I was during 2020, and I shared with you, I went through kind of high anxiety during the pandemic years, where it became, there were certain things that I would used to do every day that I couldn't do because of the anxiety. And in talking through this situation, it was one of those things. It was an example of where I couldn't easily transfer that emotion of anxiety. Couldn't identify it as just kind of a ball of energy to transfer it to what I was trying to accomplish. It was, and even if I did focus on it, it was me just focusing on the anxiety and the reason why there's anxiety, and not what I was trying to accomplish, not the goal. So if we're just talking about driving a car, I'm in the car. I got my wife and daughter in the car. There are cars around me, and the anxiety says, you cannot get them home safely. You need to just pull over to the side of the road, swallow your pride, and tell your wife to drive. That's what anxiety would say. Tell her to drive because you can't do it. You're lesser of a man, that kind of thing, right? But to be able to focus on home, because home is the goal. That's the part, so we have to kind of be committed to the end goal. The end goal is get these babies home, to get them home safely, and make that the thing that you're focusing on, and not the fact that you're having an episode, So, but I will tell you that came through counseling, right? Counseling helped picture and categorize things. And so you're trying to get to here, and you for whatever reason, you just stand there. And all of this stuff works even with what we're trying to do in relative to our bigger goals. But again, I recognize that we got these strategic plan, long-term goals, and then these immediate crises that's in our face and that's staring at us. So we can use it in both situations. So just want to make sure that kind of stuff is at the top of our brain as we are now at 9:12, 12 minutes past our ending time. So dare I say, anybody else have any questions or comments before we finish up for the day? All right. We did it. Well, listen, we talked about it. I think it's important. I know it's not one of those ones that everybody really want to jump in on, but it was important for us to have this conversation. The way I always picture this is that when we hang up this call and you guys go off into your own unique spaces and around your people and things like that, and you experience somebody who's going through something, that this information will be fresh, that you can quickly tap into, that you can spread that personal development seed and let it happen, and that's the bigger objective, that, we get what we need, but then we go out and be purposeful and adding value to somebody else's life, whether they need it right now or whether you're just sowing seeds that may add value to their life later. You know, a lot of times, like I say, when, having, a 12-year-old, you're saying things right now to her now. And I'm saying to myself, I know more than likely most of what I'm saying right now is going to your subconscious, because your adolescent brain is not reacting the way I'd like to see you react to it right now. But hopefully 10, 15, 20 plus years from now, it will begin to add some value. So sometimes we're just sowing seeds. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. Don't feel a certain way if you don't get a reaction, an immediate reaction to something to a seed that you've sown. Just sow the seed and keep moving, and let that be what it is. And at least I always say, at least I can sleep at night because I sowed the seed. But if I said this, I should have said, then that's my problem. So, all right, folks. Happy Halloween to everybody who's going to be out trick-or-treating this week, next week. We're getting ready to get into the month of November, which has become, since I've been married, probably my favorite month. Is one, that's my wife's birthday month, and two, is her favorite month. So when she's excited, I'm excited, right? So I'm excited about going into November, Thanksgiving, and all the good stuff. So be blessed, stay protected, stay purposeful, go after everything, stare fear in the face and put it into a ball and say, thank you for this ball of energy, and go do what it is you need to do. All right, folks, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. This session is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.